Yogena chitasya padena vacham malam sharirasya chavaidhyakena yoga karotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaniranatasmi abahu purushakaram Shanka Chakra Siddharinam Sahasaha Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim Hari Om. Keep the chest lifted, the shoulders descending, and then bow the head towards the center and surrender. Then gradually lift your head up and slowly let your eyes open. Today's sutra is Viparyaya Mityagnanam Atadrupa Patishtam. So this is the sutra on illusionary or erroneous knowledge. But remember that we're talking about, we're talking about spiritual knowledge. So not just any knowledge that's illusionary or erroneous, but illusionary or erroneous spiritual knowledge. And here, the definition is that illusionary or erroneous knowledge is based on the non-fact or the non-real. And what we have to see is, very often on the spiritual path, what we perceive as real is the non-real. And so we may be in this viparyaya all the time. I mean, many times. So, I mean, it's a little bit humbling when we think of it. If you go deep into the sutra, Guruji doesn't give a big explanation, but, when we look in the second chapter, all the disturbances in the consciousness, all the kleshas are caused by avidya, which is lack of spiritual knowledge. So just the fact that, and we can see in other texts, what is that spiritual knowledge? It's the awareness that we are, that's not going to work, that we are the divine in the universe that's within us. Okay, I have to turn this off. Okay, sorry, that interrupted the thought, but the computer people, the Zoom people, this is going to be a little bit of a disturbance that you're echoing, I'm hearing everything that I say. Okay. So I think it was Barb. I just muted you. Okay? You can still hear. Just say like this if you can still hear. And I think there's also a lag today. So everyone is okay? You can hear now? Yes? Okay. So in Viparyaya, we were saying that it is erroneous knowledge. That is not what it was. Correct knowledge, pranama, was that knowledge which comes from the testimony of those who know, like we can say Guruji, he's knowing the spiritual knowledge, so testimony from him, testimony from sacred texts, and then also correct inference and deduction. So that's always with the idea of coming towards the inner self. So anyhow, that was the sutra today. Now, we're going to need first opening your mats, and you're going to need first a belt for Supta Panangushtasana. We're going to take Supta Panangushtasana with the belt, with the belt open, like one loop, and you put the belt around the front of the heel. Now, there's some people, they told me they had a back issue, so I'm modifying for you. You can do this pose, or try it, okay, the person with the back issue. This one, or the other option, which actually I think this will work better for you, the person with the back issue, is one leg up in the air and one leg bent on the floor. Okay, so you do it like this. I think that will work. Okay? Otherwise, you have the option of Pavana Muktasana. Whichever one you're doing, there should be no pain. Even if you're up and you're like, oh, I feel a little bit pain when my leg is straight in the air, then no. Either bend the bottom leg or bend the top leg. Okay, so really no pain at all because it's inflamed. Those people who told me. Open well the back of the leg, grounding the leg at 90 degrees, and lengthen the trunk. Feel the depth of the groin, and you lengthen your trunk away from the leg. Then let go, and chain tuck. Supta Padangusthasana 1. Now the leg on the ground, you can ground it well, since it was just the leg up in the air, so it knows the sensation of groundedness, of extension. So keep the heel heavy on the floor. Move the sides of the trunk away from the thighs. Then release. Be sure also that the upper back skin is always moving away. So slide a little bit your body along the floor so you keep the upper back skin moving away. And then go again for Supta Padangusthasana 1. Then deflation of the abdomen and go beyond 90 degrees. Then let go. Change sides. Feel with your outgoing breath that the fibers in the back of the legs are opening evenly, equally. Don't just feel it in the center. Feel an expansion. Then let go. Rest there for a moment. Then lasso your 2 feet with your belt for Urdhva Prasarita Padasana 90 degrees. Open the back of the legs. Feel the sides of the trunk moving away from the thighs. Breathe. And then let go of your legs. Bend your legs, slide your body again on the floor. Always see that you're moving the trapezius muscles away from the shoulders, away from the ears. And then go for lateral Panicusthasana. When you go for lateral Panicusthasana, bring your elbow onto the floor. Again, extend the sides of the trunk away from the thighs. And ever so slightly, move your abdomen just a little bit, turn it from the leg going out to the side to the center. So turn just a little bit your right side of your navel towards the center navel. Then come up, extend the leg towards you, and release. Change sides. Again, those people who have the back issues, what you can do is, you may have to look at the screen, is you can use a wall and a blanket. I'm going to show this way so you can see. Imagine that I have a wall here, and as I bring my leg out to the side, I have this blanket to hold a little bit my buttocks, and then my leg is on the wall, my foot is on the wall, or a chair, or a bookcase, and this is slightly under my buttocks, and again, you can bend your bottom leg. Okay, so there's no pain in the lower back. You can bend the bottom leg and have your leg out to the side like this. Okay, and your foot's resting. So here on this side I have a wall, so I'll show you now. You saw the blanket. You may have to go closer to your object. I saw that. I need to be closer. So it's not about bringing, then come up the other group. It's not about bringing your leg really low. It's about using that support. And then this leg, you keep it bent, and you can give yourself a little traction. Okay, so it's like this. Those people who have the back issue that told me, you do that. Okay? Now, those people who are in Supta Panicusthasana lateral, second side, am I right? Mm-hmm. Observe that your inner groin, your outer groins are parallel. And those people who are doing the modification for the back, continue. Do both sides twice like that, okay? Even if we are doing something else, because that is very, very helpful. Then come up. So we did both sides twice? No, that's the problem. We need to do that. Okay. So one more side is there for the Supta Panicusthasana, the ones with the back issue. Just go on your own. So you're even both sides. And then come up. Extend your leg towards you and release. Then have your feet together Reach your arms overhead. Slide again if you need to. Move the skin of the back. Hook your thumbs and extend your body into opposite directions. Rolling the thighs in. Lengthening the waist. Taking the shoulder blades in. Relax and extend. Extend and relax. Breathe normally. Breathe freely. And then release. Change the hooking of your thumbs. Re-extend your arms overhead. Roll the thighs out. Roll the thighs in. Feel that your heel bones are heavy. And as you roll the thighs in, tailbone in, sacrum elongating, long waist, deflation of the abdomen, opening of the chest. And then let go. Then bend your legs, turn to the side and come up. Now we're going to do Vajrasang. Some of you need a blanket on the ground for your ankles to have a support. So I'm just reminding you, if you do, I'm showing from the side, then your ankles are going to be on the blanket, but your feet will be off like this. Do you guys see? For those people who need ankle support, okay? Otherwise, you can just, you don't even need this bottom blanket, but I wanted to show, to invite that. Even the person with a backache, that would be good for you to do. Okay, because I know that person. And then the other people, if you have knee issues, then you need to we'll all put a blanket behind our knees. And the person with the knee issues, you need to have also a bolster. Then everyone have 2 belts. If you have 2 belts. If you only have 1 belt, then you put your 1 belt around your ankles and you have the buckle in the back. So that this is keeping your ankles together. And if you have 2 belts, then the second belt will go just above the knees. Just above your knees. And it's kind of loose. We'll tighten it after. The one around the ankles, it keeps your feet together, but it shouldn't be so tight that it will hurt your feet. Okay, but it does keep your feet together. That's why we're doing it. Because often you'll feel in this pose, the ankles drop. So it keeps the outer ankles in. All the work we've done, outer ankles in, will do that for us, in a sense. And then you sit in the pose with or without the blanket that we showed. Then the second blanket behind the knees, that's required. Everyone have that. Keep it totally behind the knees, then sit down. And once you have, then tighten your belt around the legs and then free the knee skin. Then move the buttocks diagonally back. And you'll feel each heel is sitting on each buttock bone. Roll the shoulders back and down. Lift the chest, breathe. Vajrasang. Interlock the fingers, turn the hands out. Preparational. Observe in Preparational that your wrists are pulling up the elbows. Don't curve the lumbar. Pardon me. that the elbows are pulling up the shoulders, the arms are going up from inside the trunk. Open the armpits, open the chest. Breathe. Outer arms go forward, so there's softness in the neck. And then bring your arms down, roll the shoulders back. Those of us who practice regularly yoga, which all of you that came to the class, I know you do, you're going to be amazed that this is giving you a very strong mental stability, what's happening. And these seated poses, they always give us a glimpse of that. There's an inner calm, an inner quiet, and there's a moment of just being in the present moment. And they're very, very helpful for the stillness that we can feel to some degree for meditation. So even though we're supposedly not doing, there is an internalization. Observe the expansion from within. Shoulder blades in. Upper back skin descending like we saw in the lying down position. Now, you're going to come forward, Yoga Vajrasang. You move your abdomen over your thighs, lengthen your arms, and rest your forehead to the floor. If your forehead does not touch the floor, I should have told you earlier, because you're all tied up, then you use a brick or something, a blanket for your head. No, here. So you want to have your head touching the floor. I think here, everyone, maybe one person, their head doesn't touch, so you're going to have to get something, or if you're already tied up, you don't have anything, just bend your arms and rest your forehead exceptionally today on your arms, so you don't have to get up and get something, because you're all tied up. Then with your head last, come up. Change the interlocking of your fingers. So the other index first. Parvakasana. Keep the arms extending well. Outer arms moving forward. Don't curve your lumbar. Buttocks down, Courtney. You can see you on the screen now. Yeah. Open the armpits. Start and move the center thoracic spine in to touch the sternum plate from inside. Elbows go inside the arms. Breathe. And then bring your arms down. Roll your shoulders back.
And place your hands on your thighs. Then once again, Yoga Vajrasang, move the abdomen forward, extend your arms, rest your forehead to the floor. Feel a depth in your frontal groins, as if there were ropes there, deepening them back as you lengthen your inner arms forward. Breathe normally, breathe freely. And then slowly come up with your head last. And then turn your toes under. So if you're there, I'm just going to move this blanket. Turn your toes under and sitting on your heels with your toes turned under. Now the people with the knee issue, be careful. So you may just remove your situation. The other ones, remove that blanket and then bring your heels to the floor, your arms forward, and then bring your arms around your legs. You can. If you can't bring your heels all the way to the floor, then you can put your hands in front and slowly guide them down. If you can't do that, you can put a blanket behind your heels. Okay? Because some people, they need that blanket back there. So you may have to come here, put the blanket behind the heels, then bring the heels down, and then encircle your body. Okay? Hatha Vajrasang. And then let go. Remove everyone your belts. Very excellent poses that we just did to align the bones of the legs and also for the stabilization of the shoulder girdle. So it's very important poses, seated asanas. Now we'll do dog pose, either full dog pose or those people who need dog pose with the chair. Then come up. Now, those people who do headstand, you're going to do headstand. If you don't do headstand or headstand is a struggle, I don't want there to be a struggle, okay? Then you're going to do instead, today, Supta Baddha Konasana. Okay? And you all know that pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, with the bolster, the blanket, the belt. Otherwise, headstand is now. It's just going to be a brief one. If anyone has ropes at home, you can do rope Shavasana. You know, if you have those. Otherwise, we're going to do Supta Baddha Konasana. That's this pose with the belt. I'm just not showing with the belt, but you have a belt around your legs or your feet at the wall, lying down. Supta Baddha Konasana. Okay? And the person with the back issue, if Supta Baddha Konasana doesn't work for you, make sure you support your legs. Then you can do legs up the wall or bent legs on a chair. What do you think? Most likely the person with the back issue you can do. Oh no, you can't do headstand. So yeah, you do those. I remember them. Go up through the legs. Feel the bones of the legs all lined up. Take the legs a little bit apart, take the tailbone in, and then bring the legs back together. Feel the sapping up of the heel bones, the buttock bones, the center of the knee, the heel bones, as you extend the legs up through the feet. How Vajrasang gave us that awareness of the legs all on one plane, like dot to dot. So feel like a dot to dot or a constellation in your legs. Buttock bone, center of the knee, heel bone. Relax the jaw. Be sure that you're looking straight ahead without staring. Opening your armpits and see that you observe the floor and the ceiling together. In the next minute, the people in headstand are going to come down in the next minute, and then you also do Preparational. So don't be in a rush. Come down slowly. Forward Vajrasang, then Preparational. People in Preparational, stay a couple more minutes. And then you'll come up and do forward Swastikasana or forward Vajrasang. Don't forget, if you've had any history of backache, that you support your legs on the side, okay? So that there's no pulling in the spine. So you want to support, sometimes if I have one blanket, I just kind of tuck it under there like that. Okay? I also have my belt. Then once you lie down, move your buttocks towards the backs of your legs. Open your chest and rest there.
Then bring your arms overhead. And first observe the outgoing breath. And with the observation of the outgoing breath, observe the softness in the abdominal region. First observe the breath going underneath the abdominal organs, the outgoing breath. And you can observe like every third breath. So you feel like there's almost a huge netting under the abdominal cavity, like a net. And the organs can just rest on that. Then change the crossing of your arms. And then finally, bring your arms out to the side, armpit chest free. Those people who have been in Supta Baddha Konasana now throughout, you're going to come up and do forward swastikasana, either facing the bolsters or on a chair. That one person with the backache, try it with the roll under the tailbone like I showed you. With the arms out to the side, observe the expansion in the armpit chest. Those people who have done both sides, forward swastikasana, most likely you're finished. Then you can set up your chair shoulder stand. If you
don't do chair shoulder stand, then do half halasana, that person with the back issue, or half supta konasana. And just be careful going in. If you were here, I would have you go from the Viparita Dandasana bench. So just be careful going in for your back. Okay, I suggest you go in from the middle of the room with one chair and then your second chair go over. So you can hook your feet on the back bar of the chair. The other people in Supta Baddha Konasana, be ready to come up and do forward swastika. The person with the back gate, watch for a sec what I mean, so you understand. You can just have one blanket there just for cushioning. Then you have your bolster, and then you have your halasana bench or your second chair with a bolster. You have to get one. Your second chair with bolster or blankets, whatever you have available. That will be your halasana one. And I think that person has two chairs, otherwise, because coming up from the floor is difficult. So that's why I'm suggesting this. When you have an ache. So what you do is you're in the middle of the room, so you use your legs to lower yourself. You see? And that will give you more courage to go. Just hold the chair and come over right away. Okay, so lift up, bring your legs up under. Okay, and then coming out will be easy because you just come out. The other thing I suggested is that you do Supta Konasana. It's better with a bolster, but have your knees kind of stuck here like this. Because with a bolster you can go wider, or even two chairs, but, you know. And then you just come out like that. Okay. Once you finish both sides, set up for chair shoulder stand. If those people who are not inverting today, then you can do now Supta Vajrasang or Supta Padmasang or four bends. You choose. I'm giving you three options. Supta Padmasang, Supta Vajrasang, or four bends. Because of timing, you won't have time for both. Four bends, you can also do like Jana Shirshasana, both sides twice. Upavishtakanasan, Pachimukanasan. Those will be the four bends. I'll repeat. Jana Shirshasana twice. Upavishtakanasan, Pachimukanasan. Four bends, then Setubandha. Or Virasana, cycle, Parvatasan, Harshva, Supta Virasan, Yoga Mudrasan Virasan, Adho Mukha, Setubandha Sarvamasan. Or Padmasang, Parvatasan, Supta Padmasang, change Padmasang, Parvatasan, Supta Padmasang, then Yoga Mudrasan Padmasang, then Setubandha Sarvamasan. So those are the three choices and the groups of the poses. And as you're my student, you graduated from my training program, I know you got all that. So don't worry the other ones. They know what they're doing. They're a teacher. So teachers, they are familiar with the poses, the sequences, with the names of the poses in Sanskrit, with the understanding of the pose. There's so much involved. Like our Courtney, she's learning also. They learn so much in our method. And it really takes, now they're trying to make it like possible that you could do it faster, 3 years now, the idea. But really it takes most people 5 years. You know, Courtney may be a little on the fast track, but she did yoga a lot before, so there's exceptional people always. So anyhow, that's the story. Chair Sarangasana, then If you're not doing that, half halasana, also the blood pressure group, then if you're not doing either of those, then you can do Sing to Bandha Savanasa. Okay? And the lady on the cycle, you know what to do. Okay, so you're going to have like a good 7 minutes of practice, lady on the cycle, 7 to 10, and then you'll do your Sing to Bandha. A good 10 minutes you'll have, even 7 to 10, depending on which one you chose. 10, I would say, for all. Observing your Savasana, the tremendous lift of the chest, tailbone is in, climbing up through the legs. Courtney, bend your legs. Bend your legs on the back seat of the chair in Vajrasang. Observe the horizontal expansion in the rib cage.
Then bring your legs together, straighten your legs so the back of your legs are parallel to the wall behind you and Viparita Karani. That person with the back issue, if that hasn't been good for you, Hakalasana, I suggest you try it with bent legs. Just bend your legs in Hakalasana. And then if that's still not good, just come out and rest in bent leg Viparita Karani. That would be fine for you. That means your hips on the bolster, your legs bent on the chair. You know what to do because you've been a long time practitioner. Lift the chest and bent leg Viparita Karani. Don't let the weight of the leg go on you. Lift up your chest curtain. Camera, am I extremely crooked? No, just lift your chest up. There you go. And then everyone, at your own pace, in the next minute, you're going to come out. Rest there in bent leg Viparita Karani. Observe the release of the weight of your legs towards the hips, which gives a softness to the hips, to the abdomen. Not like softness of the hips, but they release the leg weight on the hips with this bent leg pose. It releases them. Observe also the opening in the chest and the softness in the head, how your head is in a receptive state. And I don't mean like the head, like the head itself in the sense, I mean that the organs of perception that are in the head, the brow, the forehead relaxed, the jaw relaxed, the tongue inside the mouth, the temples soft, so that so many of our organs of perception are concentrated in that head region. And that head region is often incited to look and think and it just gets to rest right now. Just let it rest. So the organs of perception are relaxing. That means the eyes and the eye
socket, the tongue and the mouth, the nose, the ears, the skin of the face. And they're just there. Not trying to take messages in, not trying to analyze, just there. In this moment, resting. So there's a sensation that we say in Iyengar Yoga, the contents of the head, and that means both the organs of perception and the brain. Very often it means both. Just feel like they flow inside towards the chest. In other words, the brain that's thinking and analyzing doesn't come to the surface. It's just there. It's still perceiving to a certain degree because you're hearing me and you're in the pose observing the sensation, but it's not trying to compartmentalize. It's like when your brain and senses just enjoy the beauty of nature, the beauty of sunset. It doesn't try to analyze why is the sun setting and all that. It just enjoys it. So here, there was that sensation of just enjoying this very peaceful pose, restorative pose. The person in Sekhubandha, you can stay another minute and then you'll come out. Another 2 minutes even. Now the people in bent leg Vikritakrani, you're just going to slide down till your hips are on the floor and your legs go underneath the chair. And just let your legs be straight. And you feel that there's a natural extension in the back of the neck. And just let go. Completely, totally in the Shavasana state. Relaxed. The temples soft. So now you're resting in Shavasana with the bolster behind the knees. The person in Sekhubandha, you can come out of Sekhubandha and do your forward swastikasana and then join us in Shavasana. Feel really there's no tension in your jaw. If you have to open it and close it a couple of times, like open it really, really, really wide to release the muscles of the jaw, then do that. And then just let go of it. Again, observe the softness of the forehead, the brow, the temples, the skin of the face, and that internalization of the head, meaning the organs of perception and brain, just resting, letting go, and flowing inside the trunk. Observe the soft, subtle flow of the breath inside the trunk, inside the chest. And don't observe so much the movement of the breath, but the expansion from within. So there is a movement of the breath, meaning the breath comes in inside, from the inside core of the being, radiates out and goes back to that core of the being. That could be one movement. There's different directional flows. But what I mean by movement, not the movement of the body with the breath, meaning the ribs go up and down, up and down. So instead of looking at that, just look at the inner expansiveness from inside the center core of the being, the breath coming, then going back to that core of the being, flowing naturally, freely. Which this carries us throughout our life, even in the sacred texts of yoga. And Mr. Iyengar tells us this in his introduction in Light and Yoga, that the breath has a subtle sound mantra. So hum hum saha. Which means I am that, I am that. This, I am part of the divine in the universe. So it's not that you're trying to hear a sound, but just being with that connection of the breath from the inner core of the being and back. Then bring it into the observation of the breath. Rest there quietly. And then, in the next minute, you're going to reconnect. Bring your hands towards you. And then turn to the side. Rest there for a moment. Don't go gradually. Don't say like right now I have to go. Just go gradually, but surely. You'll transition. Once your transition has occurred, and you rest on the side, let your eyes open at their own pace. And then come up with your head last. Then what you'll do is open your mat. And you'll have one trifold blanket, which I trifolded it already, which many of you know, like a fan fold. And then a blanket for your head. Okay. Now that person with the backache, what I recommend for you, let me think, because yeah, I know that kind of issue. So is that if lying on your back was bothering you, then you do pose Shavasana like I showed you. Okay. If lying on your back, what we just did was not bothering you, then you will fold your blanket just this way, once in half. Just this way, once in half. Just once in half. Okay, so a very small amount. And then you'll take a second blanket and also fold it just in half. So it makes like a upside down T. Okay, and then you have a third blanket for the head. Okay, so this is for the person with the backache. And then when you go to lie down, your hips are going to be on this lower traversing blanket. Buttocks on the floor, move your buttocks. And then you can put a bolster under your legs. Okay, but this should be a very nice
This would be good for you. Okay? If you can lie on your back. If it was that bad, then just go on your abdomen and do that what I showed and forget about pranayama. Just do that throat shavasana. Okay? The other ones, you're going to have your trifold and make sure that your legs are on the mat once you are there. And then also bend your legs to lower yourself, Courtney showing. And then once you lie down, position your blanket for your head, move your buttocks away from the lower back, move your arms from the inside out, and then extend the back of your legs one by one. And then from the inner groins, let your legs drop to the side. Okay? And then I'm going to give a couple of pranayamas I didn't show, but I'll talk you through because I'm going to stay with the similar sensation you just observed and with what I've given in the class, so I don't feel like I have to show. Okay? So go ahead and be installed in your pranayama setup. I'm going to close one of the windows because there's a lot of screaming next door. Then let go again in your setup. Now this will be a different, because of your setup, you'll have a different sensation of the breath, because here the chest is supported. Here it's supported. So just let your body settle there. And observe again, similarly to when we were in Supta Baddha Konasana, the expansion from within, the softness in the abdomen below, the deflation of the organs. Again, they go, the breath, exhalation breath goes under them, and like a net, the organs rest on that area. And the chest is open and expansive. Just have some moments there for the breath to settle, but observe these attitudes, how the skin of the face is soft, the jaw is relaxed, the nose bone receding deep into the face, like your nose is settling to the base of the brain. And then also observe that when we were talking about pranayama, the breath is not going to go above the collarbone region. It's just the presence of the sensation of the breath in the trunk. And even though there's no lungs in your abdominal region, you may have sensation of the breath, like you feel in the exhalation. Now, we're going to take, just listen first, we're going to take a preparational inhalation where there's an expansion in the chest, an opening inside the ribs, and keep that sensation of opening from within, and the breath will go out, and then you'll have 3 normal breaths. So everyone get ready. Exhale, let go. Then a preparational inhalation where the breath goes under the abdominal organs, expands inside the armpit chest like in shoulder stand sensation, and then with that expansion from within, the breath goes out. So you're observing the space inside the rib cage. Even there's a feeling that your sternum plate is hooked up towards the ceiling. And the breath goes under those abdominal organs again. It feels so soft. And then 3 normal breaths.
So in the outgoing breath, I always repeat this, observe the expansion from within. Not the movement of the breath. Although it's there, and we're using it in a sense to keep the abdomen soft. Continue preparational inhalation with expansion, the collarbones broad, and then the breath goes out, but you feel that at least the top part of the chest remains open, remains uplifted, almost like the sternum is hooked up towards the ceiling, and the breath goes out. The lower ribs kind of melt and release towards the end of the breath. That's normal that they relax. But your chest remains elevated on your support. In other words, what do I mean by elevated? It stays uplifted away from the abdomen region. It doesn't sink on the abdominal region. It stays uplifted away from the abdominal region. Almost like there's a demarcation. Continue your cycles. And the chest region feels like a mountain above, and the abdomen is like a valley below. From within. Continue 2 more cycles like that. Normal breaths in between. Once your 2 cycles are finished, rest there with normal breathing, and we're going to do 1 more exercise. The next exercise is Ujjayi inhalation. So as we felt the abdominal organs releasing underneath, the breath going underneath here, you're going to feel the breath coming from underneath and seeping in, imbibing in the chest. But here you're going to actually observe each particle of the breath coming in, and when you come to the top chest region, observe that the breath goes in your armpit chest region. Let's go. Exhale, completely let go. Then the breath comes almost like between the pubic plate, behind the pubic plate and the navel. There's a dip. The breath comes underneath the organs, slowly imbibes in the side ribs, not the front ribs, the side ribs. The face is completely soft, completely receptive, undisturbed. And then when you come to the top chest, the armpit chest region imbibed with the breath, and then exhale, inhale 3 times. Your first exhalation will be a little bit like Ujjayi exhalation, what we just experienced. That's normal. And then, it's normal because you have just had an Ujjayi inhalation, and those people who practice pranayama, it'll come naturally. Okay? So don't try to make it, but it may come naturally. Then after 3 breaths, another cycle. The breath comes under the abdominal organs, expands in the side ribs, coming up in the armpit chest, but the face is totally undisturbed, totally passive face. And then normal breaths. Then another cycle. Feel that even the space below the collarbones, just below the collarbones, the breath comes in that area in the top chest as well as the armpit chest. Even the sternum plate, it lifts towards the ceiling. When you come up into the top chest region.
intercostal space, free and open, receiving the breath. Continue the cycles. Because you're aware of the space, thanks to the whole practice, every part, every pose gave us some idea of a suppleness within, and also the idea of the opening within. Then you'll feel and observe, thanks to your connection with the space within and the fluidity and softness of your intercostal space, that the breath has a place to go to. It's not you're inflating yourself with the breath. So there's a fine line between that. It's not that you're inflating, taking the breath, inflating yourself. The breath is completely free to flow inside you, thanks to the practice. And you're witnessing all this happening. Where usually we don't witness, we just breathe. So here you're witnessing everything. And because of your role as a witness, it's enhanced. If we are able to take a role as a witness, then everything is enhanced. Like if you're with someone and you really listen to them, that relationship is enhanced. The present moment is enhanced. Same idea. Continue, everyone, with one more cycle. Rest there quietly. Be there for some moments. Just be there in the moment, the now. I'm reading Guruji's quote for today. Your body exists in the past, and your mind exists in the future. But in yoga, they come together in the present. Slowly, gradually, bring your hands towards you. Turn to the side and remove the blanket support that you have for your back and just lie in flat Shavasana for some moments. The people with the back situation, that you can just be however you are in a comfortable way. And the whole time I asked you not to be uncomfortable, so you can just finish in Shavasana, or you can finish the class already. That may be sufficient for you. Just for some moments, I'm just giving a brief Shavasana after the pranayama. Flat Shavasana. So all the pranas of the body, there's 5 different pranas, different functional, we can look at it anatomically as functions of the body from within. They all settle. The Panavayu, Jnanavayu, Udanavayu. Samanavayu. I don't know if I said that one. So one lower abdominal, that's expeller
prana in the chest, the prana in the whole body, and then also the prana in the throat and the speech. Gross, those are the areas. But they all have some kind of internalization, transformation in the practice of pranayama. So since we're dealing with the subtle body, the subtle body in Western ideas means energetic body. So that we want that to all be settled. Almost like you're recharging your batteries, your bio batteries. Surrender completely, let go totally. Surrender, let go. In this present moment, and now, where you have been brought perfectly here by the divine in the universe at this moment, in this time, in this space. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Salutations to the Guru. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om